Today I'm going to be showing you some recipes from my cookbook, Plant-Based Recipes and Meal Options, that are breakfast recipes. I'm going to be demonstrating some waffles, some sauces for the top of the waffles, blueberry sauce and applesauce, and then two pancake recipes, and also my pear cream topping, which is a really nice topping for any dessert, but it's really nice over waffles or pancakes. So the first thing I'm going to do is put together the pear cream topping so it can kind of chill and thicken. So I have a half a cup of raw cashews and a fourth cup of water about 5 minutes ago that I combined. And I have my Vitamix. I'm going to add those. Then I'm going to add the juice from a can of pear halves in 100% juice. I just blend it a little bit. I add the rest of the pears. Then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. You could add less if you like. Then I'll blend it up. Now I will just pour it in a container and put it in the fridge so it will be chilling to thicken up. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to put together the waffles so that they can sit 5 minutes to kind of thicken. So I have the first ingredient, this is on page 12, whole grain flax waffles. I have 2 different containers for my Vitamix. This one is smaller, and this is what I use for dry things. So I have 1.5 cups of rolled oats, and I just turn it on that long and it makes oat flour. So I'm going to add that oat flour to a bowl. Then I'm going to add half a cup whole wheat pastry flour. It could be just regular whole wheat flour if you like. I have 2 tablespoons of flaxseed meal. I grind the flax seeds in a coffee grinder that I don't use for coffee, and I keep them in a jar in the fridge, and we use it on cereals and things, so I always have this on hand. Then I have 2 tablespoons of organic sugar. I have sucanat sugar. I have a half a teaspoon of baking powder and a half a teaspoon of salt. In another bowl, I have 1 cup of unsweetened soy milk. I like Trader Joe's organic soy beverage unsweetened. It's just soybeans and water. And then I have 1.5 tablespoons of canola oil. There's not very many recipes where I use canola oil in my book. Some desserts and a few. This I get from Trader Joe's, and I like it because I know it's not GMO canola oil, because it is the best one that I like. And then I have 1.5 cups warm water. So I'm just going to stir that up, and then I'll stir this up first. You want a big enough bowl so that you can stir it easily. I'll use this one. Now I need to let this sit about 5 minutes so that it thickens. I like this little whisk. for mixing it. So we're going to set that aside here and just kind of keep stirring it. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show you is how to make the blueberry sauce. And the applesauce. Okay, I've got my pots here. The blueberry sauce, you need 3 cups of fresh or frozen blueberries. I let these thaw out. This bag from Trader Joe's is 3 cups, so that worked out good. So I'm just going to add those to a pot. I have 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. You could use organic sugar, you could use no sugar or maple syrup and just use a drop or 2 of stevia or monk fruit, whatever works for you. So then I'm going to add a half a cup of water. I'm going to go put this on the stove and cook it for 3 to 4 minutes. After it's become to a boil, I'll simmer it for 3 to 4 minutes. And then I'm going to add a slurry of the cornstarch, a tablespoon of cornstarch, and a 1/4 cup of water. So I will do that. The apple, spiced apples on page 15. I had 3 apples. I use 4 because these are organic Fuji and they're pretty small. So I really like these for snacking and stuff. So I did not peel them because they're organic. I cut them very thin. So I added those. I have 2 tablespoons of raisins. You can add those if you want. I really like the organic Thompson seedless raisins. These are from Trader Joe's. Or I like these currants from Natural Grocers too. Okay, and then I have 2 tablespoons of organic sugar or maple syrup. I'm using the syrup here. And then I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon or pumpkin, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. I didn't have any pumpkin pie spice, so I'm just using 2 of cinnamon. I really like the Ceylon cinnamon, and you can get it Natural Grocers, so Cynthia Organic, or another brand. I really like the flavor of that cinnamon. And then I have 1 cup of water. So I'm going to go bring this to a boil and then cover and then simmer it for about 6 to 8 minutes. It takes a little longer. So that's simple. And then I will add to that a slurry of 2 teaspoons of cornstarch and a 1/4 cup of water. And I'm cooking the waffles. And I wanted to say it's really important to use warm water when you make this so that when it sits for 5 to 10 minutes, it definitely thickens. Now I'm using a small little Oster waffle iron here. I initially spray it with a little bit of olive oil, and then I don't need to spray it anymore in between. So I'm cooking these between 3 to 5 minutes on either side, and it's about 3/4 of a cup. One recipe makes 4 or so. So I wanted to show you how easy that is. When I make them for grandchildren, children, sons, lots of them, and I double it, triple it, do it 4 times. It just depends, and then I freeze the extra. So that is the waffle recipe. So I want to show you how, well, the rest of those are cooking, how to put together the whole grain flax pancake recipe that's on page 14. So I have 1.5 cups rolled oats that I pulsed in here to make the oat flour. I have 1/2 cup of pastry flour, 1/4 cup of flaxseed meal, 3 tablespoons of organic sugar. I use coconut sugar, 1.5 teaspoons baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to add that to this bowl. Stir it up, and then I'm going to add 1 cup of non-dairy milk, which is that soy milk, and 3/4 cup of warm water. And similarly, I like to use my little wire whisk here, get the lumps out, and then we're going to let this sit so that it thickens. And that's why the warm water is important. And the longer it sits, if you double, triple it, and you find that it gets really, really thick, you can just add a little more water to thin it. Because sometimes I'll make pancakes for a whole crowd, and by the time I'm halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, it gets really thick. The other one I want to show you how it's really simple to put together is on page 11. And these are banana oat pancakes. I make a lot of pancakes for my grandkids, and I wanted to come up with one that has no sugar in it. So I made these banana oat pancakes. Now, I had no bananas. I had them in the freezer. So what I did is I just thawed them out, and I just reduced the liquid a little bit of the milk because there's a lot of water that has come out from the banana. So in my food processor, I'm going to add the bananas. These are like 3 medium bananas. I have 1.5 cups of the rolled oats. I made it into oat flour, but you can use the rolled oats, it doesn't matter, it all gets mixed up. 1/2 cup of whole wheat flour, 1/4 cup of flaxseed meal, 1.5 teaspoons baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And then 1 1/4 cups. It's really easy to make. When you're making the batters, depending on the size of the bananas or the flour, sometimes it can be thicker and thinner. You can always add more liquid or a little more dry flour if needed. Okay, so there we go. That's the pancake batter. So I will set up my griddle, and I'll be back in a minute. And I'm going to put these on a griddle. I have a really nice ceramic griddle that my children gave to me. And I'm going to use about 1/3 cup. I'm going to put the flax ones on one side and the banana ones on the other. I have it up pretty much as high as it'll go. kind of spread them out because they're all pretty thick. They're kind of different than regular pancake batter where it's runnier and immediately you see lots of bubbles. These are much thicker. So I'm going to turn it about 350, maybe a little less than the higher one, and let them cook just a couple minutes. So I'm going to flip these. They're very thick. You have to, whoops, be careful when you flip them. Try to do it in the same place. So I will double, triple this recipe, and I will make a lot of these, and then I will just put them in the freezer or in the fridge. We'll put, these are the flaxseed ones. These are the banana ones. My grandson is 2.5, will just eat these like a cookie. Okay. So here we have the blueberry sauce. Here we have the apples. And I will put applesauce on this one. My grandkids like to spread it with peanut butter and then the pear cream. And it's really good just to sprinkle with a little bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon's really good with the blueberry too. So that's it. It's really fun to try these and use lots of fresh fruit with it. You could just add this on the side with some applesauce, and to make it very, very low fat, just fresh fruit applesauce instead of the peanut butter. There's all different options. So hopefully this was helpful for you to see how you can make some really wonderful and fun breakfast ideas. Happy cooking!